Well, this is one of those weird prophetic passages. Get your coffee. As I've been going through Isaiah on these videos, I've been pointing out some interpretive keys for reading prophetic passages like this book. I've talked about different lenses through which you need to read passages like these. I've talked about prophetic landmarks that link prophetic passages across different prophetic books. And here in Isaiah 20, we have another key for unlocking your understanding when reading through the prophets. As Isaiah 20 opens, we have what is called a temporal marker. What is a temporal marker? It is an exact moment in history when the events that are taking place took place. This is important because people don't understand oftentimes that Isaiah was a man who lived and spoke with prophetic witness at a specific time in history. Isaiah chapter 20 opens with these words. In the year that Tartan came to Ashdod, when Sargon, king of Assyria, sent him, and he fought against Ashdod and took it, at that same time, the Lord spoke by Isaiah the son of Amoz, saying, Go and remove the sackcloth from your body, and take the sandals off of your feet. And so he did so, walking naked and barefoot. Okay, let's overlook for just a moment the strangeness of what God called Isaiah to do in this passage and what Isaiah did. So just for a moment, overlook that and look at the words that begin this passage. In the year that Tartan came to Ashdod. We have here a temporal marker, a timestamp, if you will. Just like the photos on your phone have a timestamp and even a geolocation stamp. They tell you exactly where and when the photo was taken. And here we have a where and when in history that this took place. In the year that Tartan came to Ashdod. A little research yields a date, 711 BC. Sargon II, the son of King Tiglath-Pileser III, the father of King Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, he sent his commander to war against Ashdod, one of the cities of the Philistines. This was really close to the home of Isaiah and the people of Judah in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a short 40 miles due east of Ashdod. In 711 BC, the invading Assyrians were effectively knocking on the doors of Judah. But when you read a temporal marker like this, it puts a dot on a time and a place when these things took place. It's really important to remember that this is history. These events actually took place 2,700 years ago. The Bible is a history book, but it is a history book that gives you the added benefit of being able to see behind the scenes, behind the veil of the physical realm into the spiritual realm. So when you hit a temporal, geographical, historical marker like Isaiah 20 verse 1, I think it is really important to remind yourself to become acquainted with the history of the people of this time, the time in which these things took place. One of the easy things you can do is to step back from a book like the book of Isaiah and read the associated biblical history of the books of Kings and Chronicles. The events of Isaiah's timeline, they correspond with the Old Testament books of 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles. 2 Kings chapters 15 through 21 and 2 Chronicles chapters 26 through 33. Keep that in mind when you are looking at books like Isaiah. If you want to understand the book of Isaiah, it's really important to get to know the history of his time. Well, one more thing. At the same time that Sargon sent his commander to Ashdod, the Lord spoke to Isaiah, spoke by Isaiah the son of Amoz, saying, Go and remove the sackcloth from your body. Apparently he was wearing sackcloth, which is a sign of mourning and shame. He says, Go and remove the sackcloth from your body and take the sandals off of your feet. And so Isaiah did so, and he walked naked and barefoot. What is that all about? Well, Isaiah's strange actions were a sign to the people of his day. Because we read, Then the Lord said, Just as my servant Isaiah has walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and a wonder against Egypt and Ethiopia, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians as prisoners and the Ethiopians as captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. The king in Judah at this moment was King Hezekiah, and the people of Judah, they were concerned about the invasion of the Assyrians. The Assyrians were just 40 miles away, and so they were being tempted to turn to other worldly powers to help them, to make an alliance, to the Egyptians, to the Ethiopians. They were tempted to turn to them for help. And God basically is telling the people of Judah at this time, do not look to the Egyptians or the Ethiopians for help. They are going to go into captivity themselves. Isaiah's strange actions were a sign to his people, a sign that if you trust in Ethiopia and Egypt, you will be ashamed. Your only hope is to trust in God alone. Something to think about. We'll see you next time.